So let's say we have a ratio like 14 to 4. What would some equivalent ratios be? Well, you can take the original ratio and multiply it by anything you want. And as long as you are consistent, as long as you do the same to each number, you haven't changed the ratio, even though you will have changed the numbers. So for example, I could say, let's double this. And as long as I double both numbers, I'm safe. 14 times 2, that would be 28. 4 times 2, that would be 8. So that would be an equivalent ratio. I could have started with 14 to 4. And instead of multiplying by 2, I could have multiplied by 3. Seems a rather unpleasant thing to do, but I can do it. I'm allowed. In that case, what's 14 times 3? Well, 10 times 3 is 30, 4 times 3 is 12, so that'd be 42. And 4 times 3 is 12. That would also be an equivalent ratio. Yay for me. Now, there's a special kind of equivalent ratio. It's just like a fraction. And we say we can put any ratio, just like we can put any fraction, in lowest terms. Here, instead of multiplying, what if I divided? And what if I divided by the biggest number they can both be divided by? Well, 14 is divisible by 7, but 4 isn't, so that doesn't work. 14 can be divided by 14, but obviously 4 can't, so that doesn't work. But 14 can be divided by 2, and 4 can also be divided by 2. So we could do that division. And when we do, 14 divided by 2 is 7. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That is now still an equivalent fraction. But it's also lowest terms. And what that means is that I can't divide these numbers to be any smaller. Sometimes we could divide but not get lowest terms. Let me give an example. Sorry, I'm going to have to think for a minute. If I did 20 to 10 as my ratio, I could say, well, these are both divisible by 5. I could divide 20 by 5 and 10 by 5. And when I did so, I would say 20 divided by 5 is 4. 10 divided by 5 is 2. That's equivalent. That's not lowest. Likewise, if I'd taken those same numbers and chosen to divide them both by 2, because they're both divisible by 2, I would have gotten 20 divided by 2 is 10, 10 divided by 2 is 5. I'd have gotten 10 to 5. These are also equivalent, it's the same ratio, but not the lowest. The lowest terms will come when I divide it by the biggest number I can. And if you look here, this could be divided further. This can still be divided by 5. This can still be divided by 5. And if I'd done that, I would have got 2 to 1, because 10 divided by 5 is 2. 5 divided by 5 is 1. I could have done that here as well. You see, 4 can still be divided by 2, and 2 can be divided by 2. And actually, maybe I should have used different colors for that all throughout, to show it's like the next step. So these both could have been divided by 2, and these both could have been divided by 5, which gives us from both of those yet lower terms. But once I get to 2 to 1, I'm stuck. There's no way to go lower, which is good. That's what we wanted. So if we went from 20 to 10, if we had divided both sides by 10, that would have given us 2 to 1 directly. The thing is, you can do it in multiple steps. It's okay to get to lowest terms through 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, whatever, however many you need to get there. Let me give you an example. Sorry, it might just take me a minute. 80 to 20. Maybe you immediately see 80 and 20 and you go, you know what? I know that both of those are divisible by 5. They both end in 0, and so I know they're going to both be divisible by 5. And from that, you say, okay, 80 divided by 5, that is, oh gosh, 16. And 20 divided by 5, oh, that's 4. And then you went, well, wait a minute. I know that this can be divided by 2, and that can be divided by 2, because they're both even. They're both even numbers. And then we'd go, okay, 16 divided by 2 is 8, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then you'd say, oh gosh, golly, gee, they are still both even. So I'm going to divide them again. And this time I'm going to divide them again by 2, because it's still divisible by 2. And when we do that, lo and behold, now we get a 4 to 1 ratio. And now there's nothing more I can divide by. That's okay. Now, somebody may have looked at this and said, 80 to 20, well, those are both divisible by 20. I can divide this by 20, and I can divide that by 20. And then we go, okay, 80 divided by 20, what's that? 4. 20 divided by 20, what's that? Oh, it's 1. Wow, they got there in 1 step instead of 1, 2, 3 steps. Are they more correct? Well, the nice thing is no, that person isn't more correct. So these are just as good answers to one another. So it's okay to have to take multiple steps to get the lowest ratio. Don't be shy.